if you're a business owner or someone who works with or manages a team, or even someone like a virtual assistant or a social media manager, someone who offers a service to others, I'm going to share a tool that's really going to shift your thinking and the way that you operate for the better. And it will be probably one of the things that if you really understand it, it will enhance all of the relationships that you have both in your life and in your business. But today I want to kind of focus on your business just for a moment. So my business started originally to help match virtual assistants with clients who were hiring. And it was really important to me that they were working together well. Instead of just matching them together, I really, really wanted them to have a cohesive relationship, to know how to communicate their needs, to accept feedback and understand the intricacies that sometimes people can walk away and either get offended easily, or just understanding how people think and tick was really important to me when matching people together. And one of the resources that I use a lot for this is a tool called the Clifton Strengths Assessment by Gallup. So if you love Enneagrams, I know that's a really big popular thing right now, and it is awesome. It's a wonderful tool. I've actually always been a little bit of a personality buff. I love the color codes. I love the Meyers Briggs. I love all of those. In fact, I'm an ENFJ, so I really do love all of these. But the strengths assessment is by far my very favorite because of the thinking, the shift that it does for you. So here's the basic idea. What it does is, so many times we hear we need to develop our weaknesses, right? That we need to change things about us that are flaws. Instead, the thinking with the Gallup strengths is, we are given an inherent set of gifts and strengths that are unique to the world, and we should be focusing on developing those more than we should be focusing on our weaknesses. And when we do, we are more powerful than we ever have. We are contributing in a way that brings more impact on the world because we are living within our strengths, right? If I'm not a super disciplined person, but I try to be, it's always going to chafe with me, and it's not going to go with my natural flow of how I operate, and it's going to be really difficult to kind of weave that into my strengths and what I can contribute to the world. And so, in fact, Gallup actually did a study that said simply learning the way that an employee, what their strengths are, makes employees 7.8% more productive, and teams that focus on strengths every day have 12.5% greater productivity. And so it really does change and shift the entire thinking, right? So essentially, here's what the assessment does. There are 34 strengths and 4 different themes within that strength. So some of the strengths might be achiever or empathy or discipline, and each one of those 34 strengths falls into a theme. So the 4 different themes are relationship, influencer, strategic, and executor. So let me break it down for a second. The relationship builders are those that really, really need to connect with the right people in the right way in order to thrive in any role that they are in. So if they are doing a multi-level marketing business, they must be making connections, otherwise they will fall apart. If they aren't making those one-on-one, really nurturing relationships, it doesn't do it for them. Influencers, they need to move people forward. They love to make an impact, and they want to influence the masses. They really want to again, help people move forward. Strategists, these are the people who love to think, create, and learn. They love to use their minds and all that happens in there. Sometimes you don't realize all that's really happening in their mind. Executors, they love to get things done, and they're the movers and the shakers in the world. So essentially, when you take the assessment, what will happen is it will rank the 34 strengths in order of strongest to lowest. So your top strengths, like your strongest ones, are going to be at the top, and obviously your lowest will be at the bottom. And then it will punch out kind of what your dominant theme is. So in my top 10, I actually have 3 executing, 3 influencing, and 3 strategic, and then I think 1 relationship. And so those are my strengths. So I'm actually kind of unique in that I have three dominant domains, but my real dominant to me is executor, influencer. So many people will have like full relationship all in their top 10, and that is their thing. Building relationships is really what drives them. And so you can kind of see that once you start to unpack this and you understand what people's top 10 strengths are, how that changes the way that you interact with them. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But over the coming weeks and months, I actually want to unfold this more and break apart each strength, so that if you have taken the assessment or the people you work with have taken the assessment, you can get really insightful tips on how to optimize that one relationship. So for example, if you are an activator, I'll give you some tips on how to work with you or how to work with someone else who is an activator, so that it will really enhance your relationship. And I think if you really optimize this tool for you and your teams, it's going to almost be freeing, I think, a little bit for you, because too often I think we focus on the things that aren't really, they shouldn't be our focus, right? We end up focusing in our bottom 5 instead of our top 10. So what happens to me when we go in our bottom 5 is that's when we are inauthentic, when we are stressed, when we are trying to be someone we're not. So for example, one of my bottom 5 is restoration or restorative. And those people tend to see what's wrong so very easily, and they can identify it and sort of make a shift. They can identify what's wrong and sort of provide the solution on what needs to be better. For me though, when I go into that bottom 5 strength and it's not one of my top 10, I can be very curt, I can be very callous, and that's where I go when I'm stressed or inauthentic, when I'm trying to be someone I'm not. Whereas someone else who that's actually a strength for, it's really helpful to have them on the team, because they may see things that I didn't see, to be like, hey, did you notice this? Maybe we should fix that. And it's a fluid thing instead of like a callous, coarse thing like it is for me on the bottom. And I feel dark, I feel blah when I get there, right? And so knowing that for me, what my bottom strengths are, I can be like, you know what, I'm going in my bottom strengths right now, and I need to pull myself back up and focus up here instead. So over the coming weeks and months, I'm going to start doing some more videos and pull apart each individual strength so we can talk about them a little bit more, and how you can work with, let's say that you have a client. If you are an assistant and you have a client who has significance in their top 10, how do you work with this individual? What do they need from you in order to thrive? And how can you better understand their mindset and their psyche a little bit, so that maybe you're a coach and your client has one of these strengths. How can you reframe your coaching to really optimize their strengths rather than trying to pull them into their bottom that feels like it's chafing, and again, it's callousing, and it's not really, it's abrasive against what their nature is. So knowing these will really help you. Sometimes just a slight shift in understanding is all we need to bring that clarity back into a relationship. So again, my goal is always to help people thrive together. And I'm really, really excited for you all to start using this tool. So in the coming weeks and months, watch for some videos, and we'll really break this down a little bit for you more. But to your business and life success, I wish you the very best in the meantime. If you would like to take the assessment, go to Gallup, just search Gallup Strengths Assessment, and you can take 2 different kinds. There's the top 5, and then there's the full 34 profile. I really recommend taking the full 34, even though it's slightly more expensive, because what it will do is it will punch out all 34, and you can actually see not just your top 5, but the most important things that you need to see are your top 10 and your bottom 5. The middle are just kind of meh, like they're there, but they're not really weaknesses or strengths. They're just kind of there. But focus on the top 10, and that's where you'll want to play more. So go Google that, and then take the assessment, and then be ready for when I kind of break some of these down. And you may want to ask your clients or the people you coach to also take this assessment, so that you can get some insight into who they are and how to better work with these individuals. So go take that, and we'll be in touch soon.